Hello, Internet, and welcome to episode 10 of the Forgotten Kingdom of Nylon, or Malt Magic, the Forgotten Kingdom of Nylon, as I should say. Usual announcements, or usual thank yous to Tabletop Audio, Battle Bards, and Ben Sound for all our sound effects and musical ambience. I also this week want to give a huge shout out to Incarnate. If other DMs and game creators out there aren't using it, I highly recommend it. It's been a great mapping tool for me, just to create some custom maps. It's actually the tool I've used to create the world map for Nylon as well, so if you're not using it, highly recommend that. Other than that, as per usual, adult language, adult humour, you have been warned, and with that, let us get into tonight's session. Welcome. Woo. All my lovely players. Everybody well?
Very good.
Mm-hmm. Ready for this, I think.
Yeah.
Ready for this, you think. You should always be ready. So, last session had quite a climax, shall we say. Not your idea of a climax, Danny, of course. But started the session, I should say. It wasn't even a climax, it was sort of the intro to the session with our first real proper encounter with the Eladrin, to which Ander charged in, got his ass handed to him, pretty much.
A lot.
A lot. You kind of held out your own for a little bit, but then it just still started going downhill. And you were luckily saved by two of the Malt Masters Guild. Not the Malt Masters themselves, but two members of the guild, who Ander and Dargon both recognised, and Bothrid. But Kirik, you yourself had absolutely no idea who they were. So you booked it out of the area of Ironforge and made your way back north, back through the mountain pass, Bothrid leading the way, and managed to get yourselves back to the village of Greenflower. Upon getting to Greenflower, you long rested during that journey, but getting to Greenflower, you gave the horses back to Grellan, the stable master, and then proceeded to sort of make your way into the town, hoping to have a little bit more of a rest and sort of a recuperation, maybe buy and sell some stuff in preparation to then set sail back across the sea, back to the mainland. Kirik, having gone to the graveyard to pay his respects and sort of generally commune with the Raven Queen as well, sort of came across a sticky wicket, really, as he sat there and the others returned to the boat. Having had a little bit of a warning from Grellan, the dead began to rise out of Greenflower's graveyard. Notably, the shaman himself rose as well with more power than the other zombies that were rising, and it was a bit of a mad rush to get out. And you then were greeted by Gore, Brallan, sorry, not Brellan, getting my NPCs confused there, Brellan and Charlie on the Winter's Tale, who sort of beckoned you all on, and you sort of not fought off the zombies, but held them at bay until such time as you all got on the ship, and then very quickly cast off. And that is where we begin tonight's session. And the final thing we did last week is actually leveled up.
Yeah.
So all of our characters, including Bothrid, have all leveled up to level 8. It's level 8 in total. There's been some multiclassing going on, so obviously we've got Ander as the rogue bard, Kirik himself is just a straight cleric, and we've got Bothrid as a barbarian druid. As you all begin to sort of sit on the ship itself and it's cast off, and you all just take a breather and just sort of sit and slump. It's been a very busy couple of days, and even Bothrid himself just sits. Dargon, you hear a voice, and it begins as a whisper, and you just hear this. Dargon, the time is now. And then your vision goes black. Once again, that golden light appears in front of you, glowing brighter and brighter and brighter. And eventually you see yourself in a green field. Just endless green, plain, gentle breeze blowing, a golden sun in the distance. And then a figure eventually begins to sort of come out of the horizon, out of the grass towards you. And this figure just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually stands 10 feet tall in front of you. And it's difficult for you to really get a grip on the features. You see in one hand there is what looks like a mace or something, and then this golden glinting armour. And the head is there, but it's wreathed in golden light, so you yourself cannot actually see the face. And a voice speaks to you. Now is the time, my son. You have asked for my help. It is now that my help is given to you. Be you still willing? My power is yours.
I'm ready, and I am willing, and very gracious.
Then so be it, Dargon, Thunderhand Nalakutha, chief of the Thundering Mountain clan. Today, you are gifted the power of Palor. And the mace comes out, touches you in that area on your chest where your tattoo is, and a piercing pain and golden light bursts from your chest. And then all goes black once again, and you are back on the deck of the Winter's Tale. The rest of the crew, the rest of your party, seemingly unnoticing, as if time has just passed in a second.
I sort of look around, see if anyone noticed.
There is just a little bit of sweat on your forehead, and you still feel that pain in your chest. And Kirik, make me a perception check, please.
15.
19.
You both actually witness as Dargon almost starts, and you see the sudden sweat on his brow, and you can see him almost clutch his chest a little bit and wince in pain.
Are you alright, Dargon?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Are you nervous for our return voyage?
Well, yeah, you know me, like the mountains, not the water. But no, it wasn't that. Yeah. Tell you in a bit.
Very well.
I'll look out over the seat.
I want to turn.
Carry on, Kirik.
Go ahead. I was just saying I want to turn to the crew members. What do I see? Who are they?
So at the minute on deck, you see before you a very short goblin. You also see a figure who you might not have seen the race before. We'll have to come to that in a minute, but stands probably about 6-7 feet tall, trident in one hand, armor on his upper torso, green flowing hair almost like seaweed and you notice on his bare arms and bare legs there are fins of sorts. At this point, I'm going to ask you to roll me a nature check.
12.
12. So with the 12, you've heard of creatures like legend. You have never seen one before. And you now understand Brallan, who stood on the gangplank, trident aloft, casting the fog as you left Greenflower. You understand that he is of the Triton race. The only other person you currently see on deck is a female, but she looks almost elven, apart from the fact that her skin is almost the blue of the sky. Her hair is white, and she wears a very, not regal, but lordly looking coat over leather pants, leather boots, a white cotton shirt, and this is the character Charlie Swift, who actually steps up to you and observes you for a minute. Well, looks like you found a friend, Ander and Dargon.
All right.
Yes, I am. My name is Kirik Gravetusk. Thank you so much for your help in our situation.
Well,
And thank you for taking me with Dargon and Ender. I'd be happy to, of course, pay my passage if necessary.
well, I suppose Ander and Dargon technically have already secured my services for the crossing. I see you just about made it in time, boys. Although, as per usual, trouble follows you.
All right, it does. Thank you
I can
again for your help.
And I can assure you, Kirik will earn his passage if we come across trouble. He is a very useful ally.
Oh, I have no doubt. Forgive me, Kirik. Captain Swift, this is my ship. And she extends a hand towards you.
I reciprocate. How's the
I
grip?
suppose I should... her grip itself...
You take 1 point of damage.
Let's have a look. How's
I
her
am
grip?
down.
She is a
Her
unit.
grip... Her grip is actually not particularly strong. It's firm, as a captain's handshake would be, but you don't sense a great deal of strength there.
Okay. Cool.
However, talking to her, there is something about her, almost a rapier-like wit that you can detect, just bubbling under the surface. She then turns to the goblin and to the Triton and says, I suppose, Kirik, I should introduce my crew, or at least those you can see on deck. This is Brallan, my first mate. He's been with me the longest, and he certainly has some skills, like you, it would seem. And Brallan, very silently, just holding his trident, sort of leaning against it, nods his head. And then she goes, the little one there is Gore. I wouldn't get into any bets with him. Gore sort of looks up at you. The name is Gore Vizersk. A pleasure.
Gravetusk. Pleasure's all mine.
Let us see. Charlie then sort of turns up to the helm, and she sort of whistles. And you can't quite see at this point because it's dark. The rain is still beating down. And she turns and says, I suppose I best go back to the helm if you wish to meet the rest of my crew. They'll be down shortly. And Dargon, Bothrid, make yourselves at home again.
Thank you, Captain Swift. Much appreciated.
Turns and disappears. And then, sort of, a couple of seconds later, you hear sort of heavy footfalls as a huge, hulking machine just makes its way forward. Sort of wood and metallic natural armour, great sword on its back, and it just looks down at you, its eyes sort of narrow. Brought a newbie. Looks at
Have I ever seen one of these before?
Roll me a history check.
Natural 20, 23.
He was one of your brothers.
Again, you have not seen. However, in all your studies of Nylin and some of the long-forgotten histories of Nylin, the Warforged are mentioned throughout. And with that natural 20 roll, or unnatural 20, whatever it was.
It was natural, yeah.
Natural 20, a DM whisper is on its way to you.
What?
Ooh.
So, talk amongst yourselves while I just type this down.
So Charlie, old Swifty, told me to make myself at home, so I'm going to go down, take myself off to a quiet corner, the bit where I usually hunker down, and I want to ask my sword in my head, or speak to my sword in my head. Old friend, my voyage across to find you led me across many battles on this sea. I feel your thirst will be quenched many times over on our return journey.
And there is a silence for 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. Old friend, is it now? Sought not to betray me, yet now wants my help.
And then I'll say again in my head,
Proof have you under?
we all have moments of
Sword just went
weakness.
full on Yoda.
Yeah,
Carry on.
we all have moments of weakness. My path is now true, and I shall not let you down again. And with that, I'll run my thumb down the blade so it cuts myself, just to give him a little bit of blood.
You take 3 points of slashing damage, slicing damage if you want to do it. And you also take an extra 2 points of necrotic damage.
It's a bit harsh.
As the sword, and you feel that necrotic energy just sap at you slightly. Let that be a lesson for you. Next time, I will be less forgiving.
So at this point I want to walk over to Brallan, or if he's next to us or anything.
Yep.
Brallan, thanks again for your help there. You and the crew have been keeping well. How long had things been going weird? By any chance?
Greenflower itself has always been weird.
You mean you've seen this kind of stuff before on your travels? To Greenflower, of course.
Not that sort of stuff.
I was about to say, because you could have warned us if it was, but it seems to be that
That is the first time the dead have arisen. You and your allies seem to draw crazy wherever you go.
Yeah, it seems to be following us around for sure.
Not only do you cause a sacrifice of a young maiden, you then cause the bodies of the dead to rise.
The young maiden wasn't... Well, we didn't mean it to happen anyway. I know that.
We saw. Do not worry, we saw.
But yeah, the dead rising's not the first time we've come up against some weirdness since moving to Nyland. Can we expect a similar hellish journey on the way back, I assume?
The sea itself is untamed, as you all know. Let us hope we have a fast, uneventful journey back.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. Sea doesn't fare well with me.
Brallan reaches into his sort of pouch on his hip and pulls out, looks like some sort of strange green weed. Take a bite of that, my friend. You'll feel better. The sea is not for all of us.
Thank you very much. I'll try anything. Now grab it.
Cool. I must return to Charlie.
Of course.
Keep an eye out.
I will keep an eye out.
Good stuff. Anything else anybody would like to do?
Yeah, I want to go up to Dargon. After Brallan leaves his presence.
I'll be munching on some seaweed looking out over the side.
It's not seaweed. As you munch into it, there is a distinctly minty flavour.
I'm gonna go to the side of the deck where he is. I'll say, "Are you feeling any better, my friend?"
Yeah. I seem to have recovered from what happened back in Ironforge. I fear it hit me in both mind and body, and I'm a little I was a little taken by all of what happened then. I also want to go and apologise again to Ander. I acted rashly in my fraught state. But, yeah. You may have also noticed me praying over the last couple of nights, and it's been a while coming, wondering why am I still here? Why did I survive the attack on my village? Why am I with this group? So, with my praying, I've been hoping that I've been praying to the right people. It seems they've been listening. I may have been visited by one quite recently. Still a bit shaken, not quite sure what's going on. What do you know of Paylor?
I know Paylor.
Roll me a religion check.
That's another natural 20, so yeah.
I've seen him
you
on
get 'em all
Songs of
out now.
Praise.
You're rolling natural ones
So-
during the encounter.
Kirik, you understand that Paylor himself is one of the prime deities. And he is the Lord of Light, if you like. Also known as the Dawn Father. You know that he rules over sun and summer, and he is also something of the Keeper of Time, a lord of agriculture, a lord of harvest. He's worshipped by common folk, if you like, and is seen as a prime deity and a major deity across most lands. He is also the one who defeated the one known as the Chained Oblivion, and is very much revered by those that hunt aberration type creatures. You understand from your natural 20, because you're going to get it all now, that Palor himself resides in a shining golden fortress known as the Fortress of the Sun. This sits within the Fields of Elysium, which are great plains and fields. You also know when his holy day is.
Fortress of the Sun.
Fortress of the Sun.
In the Fields of Elysium, you said?
Fields, yeah, Blessed Fields of Elysium.
I believe I also remember from Andra and Dargon's trek through Nylund so far that I believe Moonbright also had a temple? Or was that just something
That was
else?
Cord. That was Cord, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was Cord, yeah. Cool. Just trying to remember.
I asked Matt what, if any, if there are any relations between Palor and the Raven Queen.
There is not a conflict, but a balance between Palor and the Raven Queen, where one is all about light and life, the other is very much focused on darkness and death. And it is that fine balance which maintains the order. Okay.
Can I roll a quick whatever test to be of how much Dargon knows about all of this?
Yes, roll me a religion check with disadvantage.
Yeah, cool. 6.
For the 6, Dargon knows very little of Palor. In fact, the only
Fuck
things
all.
Dargon knows of Palor are those
what
encounters that he's had.
And is it also, did Timael mention him?
Timael,
He mentioned
Timael
Dawnfather,
did.
didn't he?
Yeah.
He mentioned the Dawnfather.
Yeah, the Dawnfather. So that's literally all I have. So, yeah, this is quite it's quite a surprise to me, Garrick. But I'm willing to take all help I can get.
Well, like, regarding Anders' situation between yourself and him, I would say that we all did some rash things over the past couple of days. I know I didn't want to leave that graveyard. If it wasn't for you, I perhaps would have been still there. I perhaps underestimated the power of this Eladrin that we are seeking.
Do you have I don't know, well, maybe the wrong word, but an affinity, a connection to graveyards?
I am some sort of guardian between the states of life and death. I watch over that line, and I try to make my best to make sure that the people that pass to the other side are ready and their purpose is fulfilled. And likewise, I try to make sure that those that come back also have a purpose. If they come back simply to cause havoc and destruction, then it's no use. So
I can see why you have an affinity with, or a connection with graveyards then. And
yes,
I have seen, obviously, your affinity with the undead, which I think is going to come up quite often. So, yeah, I think that's good.
Of course, I serve the Raven Queen, goddess of death. There is a dedication on my part to make sure that a balance is maintained. And
Yeah.
so I guess that gives me an answer to your other questions. Why you're still here.
Yeah.
Your purpose is still not fulfilled, I'm sure. I think we're still meant to be seeing a lot from you.
I can't leave this fight until it's done. We need to save these people, because a large majority of them are innocent, and I can't stand by while they are being cut down by evil creatures in this godforsaken place. It feels like it is my duty here.
That's commendable, for sure. If you'd like, I have a few scrolls on Palor. If you want, we could spend some time in our journey. I could tell you what I know about them.
I'd like that very much. It seems I have entered into this agreement, this pact, willingly, and it would be nice to know more. So thank you. On another note, I acted rashly back in the woods, and it does seem that was extremely rash. But what do you think we should do about the sword, if anything? I have been thinking on our trip, on our way back, we can't really be too picky with our allies. If they are helping us, then maybe do we just need to know what cost that is and whether it's worth it. I wonder whether we should have this conversation with Ander.
Yes, I've been thinking. I think...
Is it a necessary evil? I don't know. I just don't want to get my friend to get hurt.
The nature of the sword he's carrying troubles me.
Well, when a fallen angel also warned you about it, I kind of took notice.
That helps.
I don't know. It's beyond me. Don't really know what we're going to do.
There's
I or the
options.
sword hear this conversation?
Make me a perception check with disadvantage, please.
Nope, I do not. 8.
There's options. What concerns me at the moment, more than anything, is that back at Ironforge I tried to heal Ander, and there was some sort of resistance. My powers couldn't quite break through.
Do you not think that was just Ironforge? Did it happen with the rest of us?
No, I mean, I was able to heal you back somewhat, and I felt no resistance on your part, so the only thing that really changed is the fact that he is carrying a sword that seems to be telling him things that are better left unsaid.
Yeah.
I think we certainly need to have a conversation with him, now that we are all fairly calmer during our journey. But if things comes to worse, then we might need to we might need to remove the sword.
Yeah, well,
At least
I
until
think-
we know, more about it, more about
Yeah.
what its nature is.
Well, I don't want to lie to my friend, and I hope I don't have to, because I hope that what we can do is have that conversation and maybe discuss it openly, as we said. It may be one of those unusual allies at a cost. We just have to work out. I think, however, that's after we've all had a bit of a rest.
Absolutely. I talked with Timael when I was at the graveyard. I can talk to people at a great distance sometimes.
That's a loud voice you got there.
I asked about Dawnbringer, and he said that it will present itself to you when necessary. I thought you'd like to know that. A bit more reassurance.
Very, very much so. My arm does seem to be missing Dawnbringer somewhat.
I spoke to, what is their name? What was the name of the
Elania.
Yes. And asked if they survived the fight. They said yes, and they said that they were expecting us at the keep. I don't know if that rings any bells to you or not. You seem to know this area slightly better than I do. Been here the longest.
Yeah, the keep, the Malt Masters Keep, is where we first landed in this kingdom. It's a keep run by the Malt Masters, and they, I think, will be able to unravel a hell of a lot of the questions we've currently got. So I think we need to all have a chat. Make sure we all agree, as I currently have the opinion, to get back to them as quickly as possible. And I then think that we need to unravel these questions. It may unfortunately mean that we're going back on ourselves later, but these questions are too important right now. I would also say I'd probably pull out the map at this point, and I would actually then show Kirik, sort of where we've come from, where we went, and how, where is the keep in compared to where we're going on the seas and stuff, so that.
Oh, and you do
you're
spend.
aware.
You probably spend a good hour and a half, just you and Kirik chatting back and forth, talking a little bit about gods, but mainly discussing the map and the land of Nylin. Kirik offering little bits of his knowledge where possible, and Dargon obviously having this map given to him by the Malt Masters, understanding the main lie of the land, and he shows you the route they took from Seameet. Well, in terms of reverse journey, how you'll need to go from Seameet somehow either via Moonbright again, or maybe along Lake Telmer and back up to the Malt Masters Keep itself, and the village of Glen Tuag, or the town, I should say, of Glen Tuag. And as this is all going on, and you've sort of finished your conversation with the sword, Bothrid comes down, sort of comes towards you with a level of excitement, and you can see there's a devilish but gleeful look in his eye. And must show something.
What's got you so excited?
Sit. Sit. little bit quiet, mate.
I have sat myself down.
Excellent. That's cool. At this point, Bothrid sort of settles himself, concentrates, and then squeezes his eyes shut, squeezes his hands together, and you just hear a crack as the body of Bothrid shrinks into a ball of arcane energy, and then just this huge furred body in 8 limbs comes out, 8 eyes before you, as this now brown giant spider, fangs and all, with a white sort of hairy, I don't know what you want to call it, it's almost like a mohawk but in the fur pattern, runs back along the top of this giant spider, and before you it sort of dances around, and you just hear this as the fangs click together.
I instantly go, ah! And try and hit it with my sword.
As you then go to
I swipe at it.
swing, I'm gonna say roll me an attack.
Oh, that's a good manure. 23.
So you do hit. Roll damage.
Top of the deck, I just turned to Dargon and said, dolphins are really loud around these parts.
I'm looking at it like...
13 slashing damage, and because it's a creature bigger than me, it takes 4 necrotic damage, and I get 2 of those back as healing.
And you just hear the sword go, yes, good, and more. As the spider sort of winces back, and then again, the form of Bothrid appears before you. Oh.
That sound like thunder to you, Kirik? Can't see anything out there.
Yeah, strange. Keep a lookout.
Yeah, we will.
What happened? Where did you go? You portaled away and a spider came out of nowhere.
Bothrid rubs his side, and then just flicks you on the skull. Me, spider. You idiot.
You're the idiot? Why would you turn into something I'm scared of? Why not a bear? Or a cat? Or a falcon?
And he thinks for a moment. Sit.
If you turn into one more spider, I will chop off your legs.
And he then... Sit. Again, concentrates, and then... And before you, on 4 paws, standing above you, is now a dire wolf. Huge great head. Fangs dripping slightly with saliva, but then it just pants and sits.
That's more like it. And then would I have biscuits in my ration box? I don't know. I'm going to stroke it under the chin and rub its ear.
And this, Kirik, is where Ander decided to pick a fight with a green dragon because he's an idiot. But
I see.
yeah,
Yes.
So that was there just before we got to Greenflower, right? So yeah, I mean, geez, you know, it hasn't changed as you can tell. But yeah, did you hear thunder again?
So, for those viewers at home, on the journey to Seameat and Greenflower, our plucky rogue at the time decided he would track down a dragon as it flew ahead, and entered into a combat with a young green dragon, I believe it was.
Ended up with some mithril armour though, so you're welcome.
It did indeed. The DM's going to sneeze. Woohoo!
And with
Cut
that, he's
that
back into Bothrid.
I was going to have Bothrid sneeze and change, but I thought, no, we'll change
You're
it.
allergic to wolves, obviously.
So at this point, Bothrid sort of had the scratch of the chin and the scratch of his ear, and he sort of takes a bit of a strut around, showing off his very silver fur.
Has he got his lipstick out?
No. But you do see on one arm what looks like a lightning bolt shape. And then Bothrid appears again. Huge, great, toothy grin on his face. Fun. Wolf. Spider.
I much preferred the wolf, I have to say. And then, can I try and see if Bothrid still has the same pattern on his arm?
As you look, he doesn't have the same pattern on his arm, but in his hand is his javelin of lightning.
Ah, nice.
Can I ask you, Bothrid, when you turn into said creatures, are you still yourself, or do you give in to the animal? Can you understand me? Are you still able to commune?
And I've got to remember wild shape now, you arsehole.
Yeah, you can.
With me.
I was about to say, I'm assuming you can, otherwise it would just be polymorph.
No, because polymorph you retain more.
No, it's the other way around.
Yeah.
Is it the other way around?
Polymorph, you physically turn
Polymorph,
into that creature.
you assume the stats of the creature.
Yeah. You
And
assume the
wild
stats of the
shape
creature.
maintain your
statistics are replaced. Hang on. You retain your alignment, personality, intelligent wisdom, and charisma scores. Okay, I'll take that one.
Wicked.
So yeah, back in the game, Bothrid sort of looks and goes, "Think so."
So like Scooby-Doo then.
Think so.
Druggy.
Ooh.
Ruh-roh.
Wee. Anyway, where the fuck is this session going?
You turn into a spider.
I'll quite happy have a session of Bothrid just turning into random animals. Thank you very much.
I was about to say,
So Bothrid
what, you know, he needs to be like, you know, change into different animals, and there's you playing your little, you know, playing your little music under.
Yeah, it's din 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 din, and he's just flipping.
Oh, entertainment for the
Between
evenings.
the
Then.
two.
Bothrid,
So back to Bothrid and Ander. Good.
could you turn into a fish and breathe underwater?
And he thinks for a minute. Maybe. Not sure.
One for another day, maybe.
I would say after our fairly long chat, I would probably head off to wherever the hell we were. Did we actually kip out on the top of the ship, or did we have our quarters? I can't remember.
Kicked out on the deck.
Then I
majority
shall
of the time.
find my original spot and go to sleep.
What time of the day is it actually?
It's evening at this point. You'd had your long rest at the beginning of the journey, and then pretty much pelted all the way up to Greenflower, and then had to rush onto the boat. So we are travelling through the night, and I'd say probably at this point, probably around midnight. Can't see the moon. It's still raining, and the boat is being tossed a little bit in the surf. It is only now, Kirik, that you begin to pay attention to your surroundings somewhat, having spent a lot of time discussing with Dargon his status and the map, and you now see not only the huge, great machine-type creature, you see Charlie, you see Brelin, you see Gore, but there are a couple of other figures on deck as well. You see a very lithe, beautiful woman with long flowing black hair, robes that are extremely figure-hugging, and a lot of jewellery about herself, a lot of gold earrings, gold necklace, a lot of bracelets and bangles. And yet as you pay attention in the darkness and the couple of times that she sort of walks past you, you see a forked tongue dart out of her mouth every now and again, and her pupils themselves very snake-like. What can only be described as a walking turtle is also up on deck, dealing with the mangonels, making sure they're secured. For those that don't know what a mangonel is, it's a cannon. He himself carries a staff with an orb on top, and the shell is carved with arcane runes. There is also then another...
Do I recognize any of the runes?
Make me an Arcana check.
I am rolling well today. Unnatural 20.
Unnatural 20. So as you do pay attention to the runes, you don't fully understand them, but you've seen them before used. And you know that they are runes very much used for the control of storms and the magic of storms. And sort of just general weather magic.
Cool.
The final figure who comes up briefly and then returns back... Oh, sorry, there are two more figures. So one of the figures who comes up briefly on deck and then returns is similar looking to Charlie, but also uncannily different. Darker blue skin, sort of light blue hair, very pointed elven ears, and they themselves look a lot more distinctly elven than Charlie did. A bow sort of slung across his back. He doesn't say anything to anyone except Charlie. He comes up, whispers into Charlie's ear, and goes back below deck. And then you see a sight which is very familiar to you, having travelled with one for a number of weeks now, or at least a week and a half. A Goliath sort of strides around deck, clapping people on the shoulders, having a laugh and a joke. And as you pay close attention to this Goliath, familiar tattoos, the sort of the usual tattoos that Goliaths have, but then across his back is slung a strange contraption, almost looks like a trumpet, but has a handle on one end and a strange contraption, and then on his hip is a smaller device. Looks like it would fit into the palm of one's hand. It's almost like a crossbow with the actual bow part removed. And he is very much the voice on deck, sort of walking around. He goes up to Dargon and has a bit of what you would have thought would be a whispered conversation, but even for this individual, it's still quite loud, and sort of you vaguely overhear something about a rematch and time to win some coin back. That is all the individuals that you observe. Eventually, Bothrid himself comes back up onto deck, finds a coiner, and curls up. Finds a corner and curls up, and sort of sleeps a little bit, a big beaming grin on his face. Ander, what are you doing at this point?
I am going to go below deck to grab some food from the kitchen because I am starving.
So you're already below deck, but you walk the familiar path, and in the kitchen, as per usual, is Movud, the blue-skinned elf. Sort of looks up to you.
I don't suppose I could trouble you for a little midnight aperitif?
And he holds up a knife, just points to one of the barrels. Stuff in there.
I'll help myself then. Okay. Thank you.
He goes back to just chopping what looks like vegetables.
What do I find in the barrel?
In the barrel you find some dried meat, cured meat itself. A little bit thicker than jerky, but not raw, certainly cooked and dried and cured. Salted, as you then have a little taste. A little bit like pork, maybe beef. Can't quite put your sort of finger on it or your tongue on it, so to speak. But it is very tasty.
I'll take a big handful of that, stuff some in my pocket. Much obliged, sir. And I go back to chilling for the night, having a little trill on my pan flute to myself.
Movard looks up as you walk up, looks back at the barrel you went into, puts the knife down, walks over, replaces the lid, goes back to his chopping. As you then go up on deck now?
Yeah, because I usually sleep. The map's not there, but in the between the barrels, don't I? So I'm hidden.
Yeah. Cool.
So
So
I'm gonna
manage
go
to
there.
sort of rig up a little bit of a cover using some of the sheets and stuff that are there to protect various bits in between the barrels and settle underneath it. Sort of one leg on top of the other as you lean back and just begin to play your pan flute. A little bit of a trill. It's been some time since you really sat and played and just
Yes, I've
enjoyed
become
the music.
reacquainted to it somewhat.
Make me a performance check.
Ooh. Fingers crossed. Where is performance? Oh, here we go. Get in there. 14, not too bad.
With a 14, you manage to return to something of a familiar melody, and there's a few bum notes here and there. But and the familiar Goliath figure sort of appears at the top. Well, you be practicing, boy.
Take no heed of him. That's nice to hear that again, Ander. It's nice.
I've not had much chance to relax of an evening. This makes a nice change from worrying about imminent death.
What do you mean? It's been a practical holiday.
At this point, Karstan the Goliath sort of looks at you and says, "We're back on the sea, remember?"
Oh, aye.
Let me have my moment.
Just wake me,
And he
Costan,
chuckles
when
to
you need
himself.
my help.
You arm wrestle tomorrow night.
Of course. Always happy to take your coin.
And that's it. You sort of settle down for the evening, and little, if anything, happens. It's a very, very quiet night. And you actually spend a week on the boats, traversing. Little happens. You reacquaint yourselves with the crew. Kirik, you yourself become to understand the different members of the crew. You understand how Movard himself is the cook. Brallan obviously is the first mate. Movard keeps very much to himself. Feltag is somewhat of just an enforcer type, and Feltag is the machine type creature. Gore and Hedam tend to look after a lot of the equipment, making sure the cannons themselves are in fine working order. And Geo, the very beautiful looking woman, keeps somewhat to herself. And she's the only one that doesn't fit into this sort of pirate, seaworthy crew, if you like. And you understand, or you begin to understand after some time chatting with the other guys, that she herself was brought here in a way very similar to you. just whisked out of her land and deposited into the land of Nyalin, where she was picked up by Charlie. You have yet to speak to her about it, but you now understand that this is how she arrived here. And I believe that is the entire crew. So the turtle creature, or the walking turtle, he does chat to you somewhat at some point. The conversations are very brief, as the conversations with him are also very slow. But he introduces himself as Hedam Nosk, explains that he controls the power of storms and dabbled in a bit of sorcery. And that's it, we spend a week. And it's the middle of sort of the 7th day. Brallan himself has taken up the helm. The sun itself is shining, the rain having passed. You have absolutely no idea where on this crossing you are, having not seen land for a week. Trusting that Charlie, Brallan and the rest of the crew understand the way they are going. Everyone make me a perception check.
13.
Strange stimulating spells.
Someone's had a long rest and now needs half an hour.
He's had more than one long rest.
Perception.
Perception.
13.
So it's 2 13s.
And
a low
Ander
roll.
has
Mr. Hornraven.
15. I definitely was on mute.
sharp eyes.
Andy, you are, again, just playing your pan flute, relaxing it a little bit from the duties that you, all 3 of you, or all 4 of you, I should say, have taken up. And Bothrid has returned to his state of being very happy on the boat, very comfortable in this company of misfits and this ragtag bunch. And as you're playing your pan flute, something whips out of the water briefly and then disappears back underneath. Almost looks like maybe a tentacle or an arm or something. Just breaks the water and comes back underneath.
Who was on the side of the boat where I noticed it? So if it's on the starboard side,
You
who's
are.
on that side of the boat? Just me.
No one else is currently on that side of the boat. Everybody else is either below deck, in the middle, or on the other side.
I would like to run to whoever is at the helm and let them know I just spotted a disturbance.
Brallan turns to you. Sure it wasn't a wave?
I can't be certain, but it was almost tendril in nature. I just caught a glimpse of it out of the corner of my eye. I cannot be sure, but I feel like we should be on guard. My gut is telling me.
You boys definitely bring trouble. Beltag, check the starboard side. Beltag nods. Sort of walks over, holds onto the side, leans over. Nothing here. And he turns. As he turns, a huge, great tentacle whips up out of the water and just cracks him across the top of the head and sends him careening along the deck. Now everybody's roll initiative.
Oh.
Hey. Hate to say I told you so.
Yeah.
I will say with this, there was a 5% chance of something happening, and I rolled that 5% chance.
Well, I also rolled a 5, so my initiative is 8.
Okay,
Go.
so Dargon.
19.
19 under 8. Bothrid, the main man, rolled a 5.
Wow.
Yeah. Charlie rolled an 8.
Gary?
I rolled a
Yep,
10.
getting that.
10.
10. Ba-dum-ba-dum. Have I got
Sure
a
hope this is not a kraken.
Otherwise, I'll be cracking my pants.
Thanks.
So, Rowan got an 11. Good. I've got a lot of character sheets to now manage.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
I was not expecting that to happen.
we
To be honest.
didn't we look after like two or three each on the way over?
Yeah.
I got some new shit to try out.
Good. Oh.
This is my oh crap! I've got the fucking autofocus on, haven't I?
I went cross-eyed then, trying to focus on that.
Yeah, hang on a minute. While we're doing this, I've got to open this.
Are they metal dice?
Yeah,
Die.
They are sexy as fuck.
Right.
Where'd you get them from?
We're gonna have to do this manually. So hang on a minute. There we go.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's almost as if they're a gift from Paylor.
I know, they're like their celestial dice, aren't they? Great.
Where'd you get him?
At Amazon. So we'll probably have the gold rub off in a week or something, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. And we are round to the top. As these tentacles begin to rise up out of the water around the ship, and along all sides now are these tentacles just waving around. And despite Kirik's out of character note earlier, you just hear Barallan shout to the crew, "Kraken! Mangonels!" As Karstan then just turns to one of the Karstan, for Samal's benefit, is the Goliath, turns, pulls the device off his back, aims. You hear this crack of thunder as an explosion flies out of one end, and this something flies out of the trumpet-like end and flies straight past one of the tentacles. He then very quickly reloads, and Dargon.
Ooh. Am I on the
So
other
at
side of the
this
ship?
Doesn't matter. There are bits everywhere.
Yeah, bits
I'm
everywhere.
not going to bother with a map with it. There are tentacles everywhere around the ship.
Okay then. I will. So is the one like within 5 feet of me, or not? It's fine if
They're
there's not.
all on the edge of the ship. So
All on the
if you
edge.
were stood at the edge, which for the sake of it we can say you were,
No, I'm going to say that I'm sort of 10 or so feet away from one of them, and I'm going to use. I'm going to use guiding bolt.
okay.
So roll to attack.
Yep.
Oh, natural 19 plus 23.
So as you do, the tattoo of the sun on your chest glows, as then out of your hand you reach, and this bolt of golden light just shoots out towards one of the tentacles, or the nearest tentacle to you. Roll damage.
17.
17 damage.
17 points of radiant damage, and the next attack roll against the target has advantage.
Yeah. That's any attack roll, is it not?
Any attack roll, and there's a dim glittering light on the target until then, so we all know.
Yes. So you
So
do
is
now
that your
see
next
these...
attack or
Anyone's
anybody's next attack?
the next attack from anyone.
Cool.
Anything else you're doing on your turn, sir?
I'm actually going to move slightly further into the centre of the ship, further away from the from the edge, and shout out, "Rylan, should we get near this thing or not?" But yeah, want to get into the centre just because I fear for grappling. That's it.
At this
That's my
point, cool. You then see Moobud himself sprint up the stairs, draw an arrow from his quiver, and looks around. But he's used his movement speed to get up to the top. Feltag is going to get up onto his feet and use half his movement speed. Still sort of laying very close to the edge. And this tentacle now whipping above him, he takes the greatsword off his back and swings towards it. Just misses with the first one. And exactly the same. So twice he just swings, the tentacle just whips out of his range. Geo at this point stands there, looks at these tentacles. I can't do this, and she runs underneath and stays down below deck. Haydam himself, the turtle, steps forward, cracks his staff on the floor. The arcane sigils and runes on his shell begin to glow a blue as he then, to the nearest sort of tentacle to him, or the closest one he can see, just points out his staff and is going to... Apparently I didn't long rest all of these guys last time we used them, so I'm going to do that quickly now. He is going to cast a Witch Bolt towards that one. Which just hits. So this crackling beam of bluish energy strikes out from the orb and hits the tentacle for 20 points of damage. As he does that, then the tentacles themselves, one of them goes to strike towards Feltag.
Did that advantage, by the way, get used, or is it on the creature or the tentacle?
It's on the tentacle itself, and yes,
Fine.
it did get used.
Cool.
Yeah, that'll hit. As the 2-hit modifier is ridiculous. 6, 12, 15 points of damage onto Feltag as this tentacle just knocks him clean off his feet again. And where are we? It's then going to strike towards, we shall say, towards Bralin, who's at the helm. Yeah, that's going to hit. When I can pull up my character sheets. There we go. Bralin. And he will take 7 points of damage.
Well, everyone, I hope you enjoyed your week off.
And then the third one is going to whip out and is going to try and catch Carstan for a 35 to hit.
No. How the fuck have you got 35 to hit?
It's got plus 17 to its hit.
You don't even need to roll to hit me. You don't even need to roll, do you, for most characters?
Nope. 10 damage as it strikes down at Carstan. Brallan then, holding onto the helm, lifts up his trident and is going to cast Ice Storm, as you now just see just off the bow of the ship where all these tentacles, or part of the tentacle gathered, just this huge, great amount of ice and sleet come raining down in sort of this cylinder. And because of the nature of the monster, and just the fact there's no way it's going to be able to do a full dex save for this, it's going to take the damage. Which will be, don't bother doing that, click that one. 21 points of cold damage. Bum, 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 bum. And 23 points, oh sorry, 21 points of bludgeoning damage and 23 points of cold damage.
Ho ho!
For a 44. Gore is going to rage. And then he is going to, he just climbs up the rigging on one side, pulls out his great axe, and sort of manages to wedge himself in, and as the tentacle comes swinging down, he just swings towards it once. For a natural 1, misses. The second time, swings back for another natural 1. What are you doing to me, D&D Beyond? And misses twice.
It's alright, we're here.
Kirik.
Is anyone grabbed by any of the tentacles?
Not at the minute, no.
Cool. In that case, I'm going to shout, "Everyone, hold on!" and I'm going to run to the back of the ship. I'm going to grab my holy symbol and I'm going to cast Control Water to kind of just give us a boost and get out of there.
Speedboat,
So
baby!
that is 300 feet that we move, I believe.
Cool. So you just, in a very quick, the ship itself just rockets forward, and you see the sort of the tentacles left behind, the ice storm still ongoing, as you are now 300 feet away from this creature. And Brallan turns to where Kirik is. You can come again. Continues sort of steering the ship. Anything else you wish to do on your turn?
Gloat,
No, that'll be that.
That'll be it.
Is he like holding on to the bow, like as he's fucking frantically trying to steer it?
Sort of Cool. Ander, your turn.
Well, if we're 300 feet away, nothing's in range, is it? We're not. Are we still in combat technically?
You can flip him off if you like.
In that case, what I'll do, I'll just use my cantrip Blade Ward to protect myself against bludgeoning, piercing, slashing damage. Oh, hang on, that's dealt by
How long
weapons.
does that last?
If it's dealt by weapons, it won't count if it's tentacles, would it?
Well, it's still,
Yes, it would.
still bludgeoning.
It's like
It lasts for
100
one-
feet, not 300.
100, that's fine.
Ah, so you got anything that's 120?
Nope. My furthest away is 90. I was actually going to use Dissonant Whispers to make it run away, but it's too late now. So I'll just do Blade Ward to protect myself, and it lasts for 1 round.
Okay. As this just arcane energy surrounds your body. And with that, Bothrid is going to look around, and again you see him. Well, I can pull up Bothrid's character sheet. You see him concentrate for a minute. he looks towards you briefly and grins, and then
Oh no.
Turns into a giant squid. Or a pterodactyl.
and
Squid, whale, or
then
clownfish?
just the large spider is back, and just sort of
You did that on purpose,
Not that
you
one.
bastard.
that one, and immediately begins climbing up the rigging and up the mast. It's just up there and sort of scuttles around a little bit. Charlie at this point is going to just looking at these. She yells to a couple of members of the crew, "Ready the mangonels! Aim! Fire!" And you just hear this as... Let me just double check how many times. 3 of these cannons just fire. First one hits. Second one definitely hits, non-natural 20. Third one definitely hits for a 21 as well. As, are we ready for it? 5d10.
Oh. Take his head off.
1, 2,
One
3,
hopes.
4, 5. That's just for 1.
Holy moly.
So 29 damage on the first. Somebody's going to have to do my maths for me in a minute.
Yeah. Doing it.
36 damage on the second.
Holy crap.
And 30 damage. So that's 66, 86, 97 points I get there.
Yep. $95.
95, yep. Did me 9s the wrong way around. 95 damage as you just see these and tentacles just obliterated in the distance. And that will be her turn. So we'll then back round to the top of the round. Carstan at this point just readies his weapon, just holds it, aiming out to the side, just looking, and he's just going to ready in action. Dargon.
How far away?
The creature is 100 feet away at this point, with Kirik's extra sort of controlled water bursts there.
Yep. So I will cast Armor of Agathis on myself.
Okay.
Um,
Again, for those that are looking, they see the golden, or the tattoo glow gold, and then this sort of radiant shimmer appear around Dargon.
yeah, I'm not going to do anything else because whilst I may be able to hit it, I'm just going to see.
So Movement is also going to ready in action as his fell tag. Geo's still under the desk. Hedam is going to step up to the back of the ship next to Kirik and again slams his staff down. And you see water just rise and cascade towards the creature as this sort of 30-foot long, 10-foot wide, 10-foot tall wave just again goes to batter the creature. We will make a dex save for this one. Not that I think it's going to do it much good. No, not at all. Where were we? Head down. So he's going to cast that at 3rd level. Could have been better. Let's just remember it. Interesting. So the creature takes 16 points of damage. The tentacles themselves sort of almost wither and wane and disappear under the water briefly, as it is effectively knocked prone by the tidal wave. It's then going to have to use half its movement speed.
They're not immune to the condition? That's really weird. Sure.
Not on that one.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose
So
it's like
it's
a
like-
tumble dryer, so
He has to come back to the surface, basically, doesn't he?
Yeah, so it comes back to the surface, and then the tentacles themselves disappear under the water and appear about 70 feet away from the boat at this point. Bralan's spell at this point just dissipates. In fact, going back, 3 bolts of lightning just onto the deck. I need the 3 of you, just for the sake of making this interesting. I'm going to say I need the 3 of you to make dexterity saving throws. There you go, Ander.
Whee.
12.
12?
Yeah.
15.
15.
That's my 3rd natural 20 of the evening.
Nice.
I'll roll my dice.
Yeah. So 21.
12. Ander and Dargon, you take 14 points of lightning damage as this lightning just crackles down. Kirik,
I take half
you
damage
will
as
take
an evasion.
7.
So it's half damage even if I fail.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 7
Cool.
damage.
So Kirik and Ander both take 7 points of lightning damage.
I need to do a concentration check.
Yes, you do.
Ooh, actually.
That
No, I don't.
is 15, so all good.
Cool. Bralan at this point is going to then
Sorry, does that actually take up my 5 temporary hit points from my armour, or is that only on an attack from my melee weapon?
that will, I believe, for Armour of Agathis, take up those hit points because they just get added on regardless.
Cool.
So I don't think it matters the type of damage they defend you from, it just
Okay.
happens.
So, I need to take that off again. So that's the Armour of Agathis gone now, isn't it?
It is indeed, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, Bralan is then going to lift up his trident again and point as this just strange, ethereal, arcane glow itself flows towards the creature, and then you just see these whole group of insects begin to fill a sphere, 20-foot sphere, about 70 feet away from you. And con check. Just fails it. The creature is then going to take 23 points of... Stop rolling again. Piercing damage. As this just sort of buzzing area, and you can just about hear it from where you are, but you can see the small little creatures just biting into the tentacles in that 20-foot sphere. And just to double check the spell. That's fine. Gore himself can't do a lot. Ready's an action. Kirek.
So the creature's 70 feet away, you said?
70 feet away.
Cool. At this time, I'm going to use my action to change the effect of my control water, and I will make around the area where the creature is, I'm going to create a whirlpool.
Nice.
Of water.
Nice.
It is 50 feet wide at the top, so sure, I'll center it on the creature, and 25 feet tall. So yeah, so at the start of its turn, it's gonna have to do a strength check.
To get out of it. Because you do. Not only have
See
we
if he
had
gets
a
caught on it.
tidal wave, an ice storm, and now an insect swarm, you now see the ocean itself just begin to swirl around the creature. Kirik sort of concentrates, closes his eyes, and reaches out with his hand, and you can almost see the black arcane energy around his hand. Anything else you're doing on your turn? Bonus action?
I will kind of give a look to the crew to see if they are, or the state of the condition they're in. If anyone's particularly
Okay,
injured.
so Bralin's taken a little bit of damage. Feltag's been smacked twice with a tentacle. You can see some scratches on him. Gore's fine, Hedam's fine, Geo's fine, Karstan's fine-ish. He's taken a little bit. Mover's definitely not taken any damage. Charlie's fine. Bothrid is currently fine up in spider form. And Dargon is fine as well. So Feltag and Karstan are the only one that have really taken any damage. Feltag's taken the brunt of the hits so far.
In that case, I'll just stay focused on the spell.
Cool. Ander.
So I'm thinking it's taking a lot of hit. He's taking a lot of damage. I don't know how many hit points a Kraken starts with, but the only thing I've got to do that is I can hit it with range-wise is cast Sleep at 2nd level, and I get to roll 7d8, and if that is equal to or more than its hit points, so 56 is not a lot, but so I'm going to cast that and hope for the best. 7d8.
What's the range?
90 feet. It's a 20-foot range spell, but obviously if I just centre it on the creature, it's not going to touch any of us. Although the insects might fall asleep. If that.
The insects
happens.
are a spell, so no.
Cool. Oh, they were shite looking. 32.
So you reach out with your own arcane energy, and the spell just sort of doesn't even connect in any way. And then in your mind, you hear, "Screw the magic. Give me its blood." Anything else you're doing on your turn?
There's not really a lot I can do, to be honest. So
Okay.
no.
Done. Bothrid at this point is just going to hang on, ready in action. Charlie again shouts, Angus! Fire! And the three of the cannons are gonna fire. Just. First one misses. Second one hits. Third one hits. So 5d10 twice. I'm just going to do 10d10, making it easy. 55 points of damage. As you now see bits of tentacle flying everywhere, and where the tentacles are still left but mangled, there is a significant amount of blood, and you can even see darkness in the water. In this whirlpool, looks like it's just swirling around as the blood is just being pulled down. You can consider the creature bloodied at this point.
Holy moly.
Back to the top of the round. Karstan is not going to drop his dice.
Can't bloody find him now.
They are gone. They've left the realm of Nylin.
They've disappeared in a flash of arcane energy. Karstan can do bugger all, so he's just going to keep his readied action. Dargon.
I'll do Guiding Bolt again. It's the only thing I can hit it with. Ooh, I think I miss. 11.
Yeah, that misses. As the bolt just fizzles on past.
Bowls.
That you done?
Yeah, fuck it, I'm not going to burn anything else.
So Movewood at this point, with the creature having moved closer, aims with his bow and arrow, lets one loose, pulls another arrow, lets the second loose. Cock. First one misses. Second one hits. This arrow does strike 2. Fuck my life. What a 1 on the damage die. Took 4 damage. This arrow does strike true, but just, and you can just see in this tentacle of the Kraken now just a little stubby bit of wood sort of flinging around. Feltag can do bugger all, so he's just going to stand there and wait. Geo's still down below. Hedam, wherever the big turtley bugger is. Gonna cast another tidal wave. So the Kraken fails its dexterity saving throw again.
Yay.
As that's not the best wave. As it hits the whirlpool, the wave itself is sort of knocked about and doesn't have as much damage or much effect as it would like. Only does 7 damage to the Kraken, but again you see the tentacles sort of disappear. And he looks at you as you say that, Kirik. Should have thought, really. The Kraken at this point is going to again
saving throw, please.
Cast, or you're going to see these lightning bolts come down. So, is it at the start?
He needs to do a strength saving throw. Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Start of turn.
25.
Yeah, that succeeds. So it's going to take some damage now. I believe.
It's going to take some damage. That's cool.
4 points of bludgeoning damage, but it's not caught in the vortex, so it's free to move now.
As you then see it sort of surge forward 60 feet, so it comes within 10 feet of the ship now. Let me just see what the range on these tentacles is. Yeah, okay, so it's not going to bother with the lightning attack. Instead, 3 tentacles just go to hit. One at Kirik, who is at the back of the ship, for a... It's going to hit anyway, because it's a plus 17 to hit.
Yeah, that's above my armor
it's
class.
only if it's a natural 20, yeah.
Or a natural 1.
So 3d6.
Even with a natural 1, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
But I say it doesn't with a natural 1, does it?
Yeah.
4,
It's
5,
still above my
6,
armor class.
17 points of bludgeoning damage, and you are restrained as a tentacle comes up, just whips around, hits you,
Right.
and wraps around you.
17
to make
I need to concentration check.
Constitution, yeah, concentration.
I roll an 11. So that just makes it.
Yeah, that's fine. So yeah, your whirlpool spell is still up, or your control water is still going. The second one is then going to hit towards Hedam. I'm only rolling to see if it gets an up to 20. So that will hit, and that will be 3d6 plus 10. 6,
Did you say restrained?
9, 19. Say again.
Did you say Kirik's restrained?
You are grappled. And sorry, yes, you are restrained. So grappled and restrained. Sorry, that was 6, 7, 8, 9, 19 points of damage to Hedam, who is also then wrapped up in this tentacle and is now grappled and restrained. And the third one is going to whip out towards... I'm going to say Feltag's going to get it again. Okay, so not a natural 20. He's then going to take 6, 8, 9, 10, 20 points of damage. And is also restrained and grappled. Cool. And that is its go. Bralin, to this point. Let me just check his... So he just lets that insect plague spell go. Now with the creature in a significant range, close. At this point, he swings the trident around himself, keeping hold with one hand onto the helm, and strikes it up a bit like Thor, and you just see this huge great storm cloud appear, again in this sort of cylindrical shape, and as lightning bolts just begin to rain down in a 60-foot radius, sort of centered again on the, well, not centered on the creature, but in a way that it's going to dodge the ship, so positioned in the right place. The creature has got to make a dex saving throw. Now it rolls the nat 20. So, bum 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 bum. Each creature within 5 feet at that point must make a dex saving throw. Creature takes 3d10 lightning damage on a fail save, or half as much damage on a successful one. So it's going to take half as much damage, but because of the level it's casting it at, it will be half of 5d10. So 32, so that will be 16 points of damage as these bolts of lightning just cast down on it and begin to singe and frazzle various bits of the tentacles. And I believe that is all Bralin is going to do with that one. Bum, 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 bum. So he's going to maintain that there. Gore. Still don't think can do much. He's going to take one of his javelins out. I'll take 2 javelins out and just throw one, throw the other. First one misses. Second one misses as these 2 javelins just fly and splash down. Kirik.
Yeah. Grappled and restrained, you say?
Yes, so I need you to make a strength save.
That's
Or a
an action,
strength
though,
check
isn't it?
to escape. Yes. If you wish to escape, that is.
It's not good. Okay. I didn't pack any spells for this. Okay, I'm gonna try and do something really weird. Can I see the body of the creature, or can I kind of take an assumption of where the creature is? The actual body
So
of it.
based on where the tentacles are, and you do see the dark shape under the water, you can see down below you, beyond the back of the ship, there is a distinct dark shape underneath, which would indicate the bulk of the body.
Focusing on that, I'm going to still use my control water to part the water where the creature is.
Okay.
So that's a 100-foot cube that just gets opened up.
And as that 100-foot cube does open up, the Kraken drops 100 feet and splashes just on the top there where this cube is. You are now pulled down somewhat with the 2 companions into this just cubeless area, well, a cube of waterless space, if you like. The ship continues on its
we off
journey.
the ship?
You are now off the ship.
Oh shit.
Great.
How far off the ship are they?
Well, they're going to be 100 feet down because they would have dropped 100 feet lower. So with the tentacles, we will say they are 70 feet away from you, which is going to increase slightly in a minute when the ship moves, or as the ship moves. So 70 feet away and probably a good 50 feet, 60 feet down into this cube. Okay.
And as my bonus action, I am going to cast Spiritual Weapon at 2nd level. And I will try to perform an attack on the bulk of the creature.
Okay, so that will not be at disadvantage because this is a spiritual weapon.
That will be a 17 to hit.
Just misses. As your spiritual weapon
Oh, that is
bites in,
bad.
but just doesn't get any purchase. Okay.
Okay.
And
Cool.
and
Nice knowing you guys. That's great.
I'm gonna do some fucking hopefully nuts. So, from my memory, the ship has harpoon guns, right?
it's got a number of cannons, mangonels, and there are also 2. I can't remember whether they're trebuchets or ballistae on the back. I think they are ballistae. So yes, they are huge, great crossbow type.
Are
Things.
the bolts that shoot out attached to a rope? So could I? Essentially
Not currently.
Would it take a whole action to put the rope on and then have to wait to fire the weapon?
You got a bonus action,
So
haven't you?
I will
I
say
need to dash and stuff.
it will take. No, fuck it. I like this idea. Bonus action to tie the rope on.
And then I'm
So you
going
tie
to
the
try
rope
and...
on.
Yeah.
So
Not
I need
wanting
you
to
to
lose
make.
my allies, I'm going to try and harpoon the squid to drag it behind the boat.
So I need you to roll a d20 and add 6. As you spin
21.
this ballista and you watch as the bolt just flies thunk, into the cube and catches purchase on something. Kirik, you see as this huge, great bolt just flies in and thunk straight into the center of what you can now see as the Kraken's head. With this rope. How long was your rope?
100-foot rope. Oh, I'm going to pull the ship in half or something stupid, aren't I?
No, it's probably just going to be a...
So I'm working out angles. You should be fine. If my maths is correct there.
It's probably not.
Don't care.
Probably not. Yes, you will be
Looks like
fine.
he's trying to suck. Yeah.
I was remembering.
Watching you do maths is like watching somebody trying to summon the rain.
Hey,
Oh, mate, I'm shit at mental maths. So as it fires and you see it catch purchase, the rope itself begins to sort of fly away, and you just hold on. In that 6 seconds, you now have hold of this rope as it's come past, and there is a bolt in the Kraken's head. Anything else
Can
you
I
do in
tie
that's your
it?
action, your bonus action, isn't it?
Oh fuck! Luckily I've got. So I'm essentially like this on the bow of the ship with a fucking rope. Like, "Ah!" At this point.
Love it.
Fucking hell.
Bothrid, having seen this, is gonna run back down in spider form, and as he comes back down, back into Bothrid form, he can't rage because that's his bonus action to get rid of the wild shape, but he is gonna stand up next to you and he's gonna use his action to basically just hold on to the rope with you, and looks. Now what? Charlie, at this point, you've got quick 6 seconds. Go for it.
We need to tie it onto the ship somehow. Secure it onto the ship.
Okay. So the minute that both of you have just got hold of it,
Yep.
as Charlie then, having seen you do this and having seen her companions and Kirik be withdrawn into this cube where the water now doesn't exist, and she shouts a number of commands at Brallan, and the ship itself begins to turn and come about, and it turns in such a way that it just crests the edge of this cube as it comes back round and lists slightly, being expertly handled. And again she says fire. This time only 2 of the mangonels fire, having used one of its actions for the ballista to be fired. 1 misses, 1 hits. So 5d10. That's good. That was not a bad roll. I got a 9, a 9, a 6, a 7, and a 10. So 41 points of damage.
Wow. Tell that cannon, how do you want to do this?
And as this cannonball fires through, now with the body of the Kraken exposed, it just blasts out part of the side of the Kraken. And then we'll back round to the top with Karstan, who now in this area brings down his blunderbuss and is going to fire with 1. Misses. Rather than reloading this time, just pulls out the device at his side, which those of you who are familiar with it know it to be a palm pistol, spins it around his hand and fires again for a 24 to hit. So 5 points of initial bludgeoning damage, or piercing damage, I can never remember. Cast down, and then an additional, we're going to do a quick dex save. Fails. 1d8. I can do a 1d8. Full points there. It's then just this fire cascades along the body of the Kraken again. It takes an additional 8 points of fire damage. Dargon, over to you.
Right, so I will run up to where Andrew and Bothrid are. I'm going to use my action surge to take one additional action. I'm going to do that first so that I
so
can...
that's the first action, then you can use your action surge.
Cool. Okay, so it will be that I will... how far away is the creature? More than 30 feet, I'm guessing?
There's bits of the creature all over the place, so there's bits that are within 10 feet. The main bulk of the creature itself is probably about 50 or 60 feet down.
Would you allow me to cast Bane from my shield? Because it's a 30-foot radius. Or range, sorry.
I will say it will catch a tentacle,
But that's it. Fine.
which
Ignoring
will allow you to cast the spell. Yeah,
on the tentacle or the body itself?
it's attached to the body
Fuck it. I'm going to give it a whirl.
within range.
Right, so I will cast... hold on, let's make sure I want to do that. So... nope, I'm not going to do that. Guiding Bolt, second level. I shouldn't have fucking done that. Never mind. That misses.
What did you roll?
15.
Yeah, okay, misses.
So, with my action surge, yes, I will then grab the rope and try and tie it onto some area of the ship.
What would you like to tie it to?
I'm going to tie it to the corner piece of the rear handrail, thinking that's the sturdiest section that I can find there.
So you managed to loop the rope around, sort of, not just the railing itself where it joins, but then where it joins the actual body of the ship itself as well, and sort of tie it around there. And you can hear the creak and groan of the wood as the ship itself is turning, and as the ship begins to move, you can feel it just being pulled a little bit. Cool. Movewood is again just gonna aim down from where he is, lean over the side with 2 arrows. Nice, 27 to hit with the first one, and the second one misses. D&D Beyond does not like Movewood, so that's 4 points of damage with that first arrow. Again, another just wooden bolt. It's just flinging out of somewhere on the Kraken. Feltag, what's he got? Is actually grappled. So he has his greatsword in his hands, and he is basically just going to attempt to chop at this tentacle that has him, rather than try and break out. So he's going to go for 1. Misses with the first. Hits with the second. For a total of 13 points of damage. He just about manages to bite into one of the tentacles. Geo's not doing anything. Hedam at this point is just a bit sort of looking around himself, restrained. He is going to cast Thunder Wave.
Uh-oh.
Was a natural 1 on the save. Was a natural 20 on the save.
No, rolled an 8 with a dex of +0. So this energy just out from Hedam as the creature takes a final third level 48 points of thunder damage. So that's 18 points of thunder damage, and the tentacle itself is just blasted out from Hedam himself, who then just drops and splashes into the water below next to the Kraken. And he is then going to use his movement speed to swim away
Has
a
anybody
little
else
bit.
got heroes in a half shell? Total power! every time I said it.
Cool.
Shit.
So at this point, the Kraken is going to attempt to bite Hedam now that he's dropped into the water, which will hit, obviously. Fuck it. Oh, they've actually put the dice roller on the encounter builder now. That makes things a lot easier. Why am I even bothering? So Hedam takes 28 points of damage. And as the Kraken bites, you just see Hedam disappear into its mouth.
That's really bad.
Because Hedam has no hit points left. And then the tentacle that holds you, Kirik, is just going to try and slam against the ship to try and do you some damage. Not a natural 20, so you're alright. That will then be... 1, 2,
Hit
3.
on 0 hit points, Dagon.
That will be
Ow.
21 points of damage to yourself, Kirik. And it's going to do the same for Feltag. Yeah, okay, still not a natural 20, although not a great roll. $18 points of damage to Feltag, who is still up, but just gets slammed against the side of the ship. You are both still considered grappled and restrained, yep.
17.
17. Yeah, you are still grappled, still restrained. Just
The cube's still there.
the cube is still there. Ah, sorry, that was your con check.
Yep.
Brallan, at this point, shouts to Charlie, "Take the helm," and he dives over the side into the water.
Alright.
As he dives over the side, he is going to splash into the water, come out, reach forward with his trident, and you just hear this cacophony of noise. There's just this ear-piercing sound erupts out of nowhere. Again, con saving throw fails, and the creature is then going to take 5d8 damage, 29 points of thunder damage, and you almost hear this strangled scream from the creature. As that thunder damage takes place, Gore, I just need to chalk off 2 of his javelins. So he has no. Oh, he's got 2 more javelins. He's going to throw another one and throw the second, since the first one hits. So both of them hit for a total of 14, halved because they're not magical. 7 points of damage as they just straight in. Kirik.
Keep the cube, so I won't change anything. So I still have my action. As my firstly, do I see what's his name that was bitten by the crab?
Hedam.
Yeah.
No, at the minute the mouth has closed over him with the bite.
Okay, action. I'm going to cast. Try to like squeeze and grab my holy symbol, and I'm going to cast Toll the Dead on it.
Okay.
That is a wisdom saving throw, please. I assume I'm within 60 feet of this creature.
Yep. Yep, held by it. Yeah, that's a big, fat 7.
Which, 15 points of necrotic.
As you hear that
Is that
sort
from
of...
your 2d12,
That was Toll the
is it?
Dead, yeah?
Yeah, Toll the Dead.
Toll the Dead, you hear that boom, and from Kirik's hand, black energy just cascading out, and the creature again sort of shrieks, its eyes close, and you can see the skin visibly wither for a second before returning. It did not like that at all. Anything else you wish to do on your turn?
Bonus action, I'm going to use my spiritual weapon to attack.
Yep.
That is 19 to hit.
That will hit.
Maximum damage, 13 points of force damage.
Force damage. As what form does the spiritual weapon take? Is it still this raven dagger?
It is a big, massive raven dagger, yeah. Like a
Massive raven
like a
dagger.
15 feet big dagger.
You just
Smash
see
the
this
creature.
dagger, feathers and all, just slices in. And even with the force damage, opens up a huge slash in the creature, and blood is now just pouring out and sort of staining the water around it. At this point, the boat is just making its way around the cube as it's now tied off to this kraken. Ander, what are you doing?
So where it smashed Kirik against the boat, was that near me at all? For me to then be
What are you
able to
trying to
attack that tentacle.
Yep, I will say
Yeah.
that.
So I want to swing two-handed at that tentacle to try and cleave him free if I can. Not with a 15 to hit, I won't.
Or miss.
Okay. As a bonus action, I will grant. Who's next up in initiative order?
Bothrid. I'll give you that one, since it's kind of difficult to track with this many characters.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I will grant bardic inspiration to Bothrid. As he's next to me, I can just whistle a little tune to him.
So he gets an extra
1d6 to use on any attack roll, saving throw, or ability check for 10 minutes.
1d6. Cool. Bothrid is then going to, having seen sort of Dargon tie off the rope now, he is going to... What is he going to do? Right, he's going to pull out his javelin of lightning, and he looks at it, kisses it, brings it back, and just throws it down. Oh, you lucky son of a bitch. That met the armor class, and I think I'd have cried if this had gone into the water. He speaks the word as this lightning bolt just bursts out. So he needs to make a dex saving throw. Rolled a natural 1. Double the damage. So 4d6. It's going to be 8d6. Oh shit. 8d6, so it takes 29 points of lightning damage, and I'm not even going to roll for the javelin to hit. As the javelin hits and this lightning bolt erupts into the creature, you just hear this. In that moment, the mouth opens and you can see Hedam just inside the mouth, lifeless. As the creature rears back, the eyes roll back, splash into the water. The tentacle immediately lets go of you, Kirik. Immediately lets go of Feltag. You both drop, splash into the water.
Are we at combat?
You are out of combat.
Yeah.
But one person is still in the dead Kraken's mouth.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people in the water. There is also a cubeless area, or a cube of waterless
No, I was going to
space.
say, because what I want to do is if we're out of a turn, I am going to now jump off to try and get what's his name out of the mouth of the Kraken, to just plummet in. So I want to get in and then try and get him out, because we need Kirik to at some point let go of shape water, but not until
Make me an
everyone.
acrobatics check.
Yeah.
So I just want to see Dargon first, and then I'll come to you, Kirik.
11?
Sure.
11. So you go to dive, you trip slightly over the railing and slip because it's wet, but you do just sort of half fall, half dive into the water and just splash in.
I'm just further
Kirik.
away than I wanted to be.
Yeah.
How far away am I from... Sorry, I keep forgetting his name. It's really bad.
From Hedam.
Let's keep
So Hedam's still in the Kraken's mouth, which is now open, and it is slowly sinking down into the water. At this point, I'll say for this, we will still use the rounds of combat term for all these movements. You are probably about 20-30 feet away.
I'm further away than that, aren't I?
You are probably around 40 feet away.
Yeah.
Healing word on him.
Healing word. So you immediately just come up for air, cast this spell. Healing word grants him...
I don't need to roll because he's unconscious. 3d4, that's 12. 12 plus 5, 17 health.
And you
I
just
cast
see
that
his eye.
third level.
So is that 18? Yep.
17.
17. You see his eyes flash open. As now, I think, Brallan, Bothrid, Feltag are all just swimming. Feltag is sort of struggling in his weight and being unable to float and just sort of struggling a little bit. Andy, you were going to do something as well.
It's kind of redundant now because everyone's swimming towards the turtle. What I was going to do is use my climbing kit to then abseil down the rope straight to the squid to pull him out of his mouth.
He's still in the mouth.
But he's alright. I will try and do that. So I will use my climbing gear to create like a zip line, and I'll zip line down the rope onto the squid to pull.
I'm not
try
going
and
to
pull a
make
big
you
fucking
make a check
turtle.
for this because it's just too cool. As Ander just almost unthinkingly pulls out some of his kit and just straight down the rope, sort of bounces against the head, reaches down with one hand, as Hedam's eyes open, and he reaches up towards you. Make me a strength check.
Natural 20, motherfucker! 24 altogether.
And with some uncanny strength out of nowhere, you just lift him up and pull him onto the head of the creature. Now both of you holding on to where this ballista bolt is just embedded into the skull. And now as you all turn and look, the ship itself with the Kraken pulling it is just beginning to list further and further over the edge of the cube where there is no water.
As an action, I will use the control water to change flow, so the water will just move its way up.
As you do that, and the Kraken's body itself just comes up, the Winter's tail lists back over and sort of bobs a bit and sways as you just flow and the Kraken's body come up. And as that flow then stops, the Kraken's body begins to sink again.
Pull the harpoon out, Ander. Do it now.
I then cut the rope that is attaching the harpoon to the creature.
Nice.
I will start heading for Feltag now, because he's struggling to swim, to give him a bit of aid.
He's getting rusty as fuck now, isn't he?
So first of all, Andy, you cut the rope, and instantly the Kraken's body begins to fall away underneath you. You grab hold of the rope, I'll say, with Hedam, or at least Hedam grabs hold of the rope, and you two are now just being pulled along in the water by the boat with the rope.
Surely I can surf him. He's a turtle. He can swim, right? So
Do you want to say that to him?
no, I'm underwater, aren't I? Am I underwater technically?
No, you're above water now. That's flow.
Do you mind if I ride on your back?
He just stays silent, clinging onto the rope, sort of staff in one hand, and doesn't say a word. Dargon, you are rapidly swimming towards Feltag as Brallan is also doing the same, and as you see this, Brallan himself is just rapid through this water, like it almost dolphin-like through the water towards where Feltag is, and he loops an arm underneath, winks at you, and then turns and begins to swim back towards the ship. As you all now start to make your way back towards the ship, a number of ropes come down, and even Geo at this point has popped a head over the top and just begins to pull up whoever is grasping onto the rope, and eventually you're all brought back onto the ship, roll onto the deck, puffing, panting, spitting out water, as Charlie now looks over you all and goes, "You lot are bad for business."
You took our coin.
Might have to be charging you extra now.
Yeah,
Hope you're going to replace that ballista bolt, Ander. Those things aren't cheap.
We'll see.
Brallan then steps across to
Give
you,
me that
Kirik,
line first.
grasps your hand and pulls you up and clasps you on the arm. Impressive.
Thank you. It was at first. I'm not accustomed to being in water this much.
Bothrid then turns to the group, and gone is the giddy grin. As he then looks into his hands and looks into the water. Javelin gone.
Oh,
Oh, Bothrid.
cost us loads of money.
It
And
was
as Anders
worth.
says this, Bothrid just flashes almost literally a whole flash of anger towards you, and you feel the rage bubble out of him and almost spill towards you before he controls himself, catches himself.
You dealt the final blow, Bothrid. Well done. It served its purpose.
What was gift? Now lost.
If you promise never to
From you.
turn into a spider again, I'll buy you a new one.
He looks and sort of half grins a little bit. You can tell he's pretty upset by this. It having served him so well, and it having been his first and only magical weapon before he came into these gifts.
Truly, Bothrid, you have definitely pulled us together. Certainly in the last day or so, you held this motley crew together. We will repay you for everything that you do for us. I give him a big bear
He sort
hug.
of solemnly... he sort of leans into a little bit and then just solemnly goes off to the side of the ship and begins to scrub down one of the mangonels a little bit. Just starts to go about some various duties. What are the rest of you doing?
I would like to say in my head to the sword, I'm sorry I couldn't give you blood.
Another missed opportunity. Your time grows short, and
You alright,
What do
Kirik?
you mean my time grows short? Still in my head.
and it's with that, Andy, you feel another flash pain in your palm.
Dear whisper.
You alright, Kirik? That was some pretty brave stuff you did then.
Yeah, it was. I feel like, in retrospect, I should have perhaps made my best to just keep us away from the fight as opposed to try and battle it.
Yeah, we all make mistakes in combat. But, to be fair, I think actually what you did, that was pretty good. I was inspired. I wouldn't have thought of it. And it did mean that we had a, well, bit of a turkey shoot for that thing. I kept bloody missing mine, but...
And as you say, turkey shoot, Carstone looks over and goes, "Better not be taking the piss, doggone."
Yeah, well, ain't more than you did.
He just holds up a finger, smiles,
Um,
disappears
I
below
will.
deck.
With that, I'm going to kind of sit on somewhere on the deck, and I'm going to start casting a prayer of healing at second level. So, whoever are the 6 creatures that are looking worse for wear.
Edam.
Yeah, I will include myself on that as well.
Okay.
We gain 14 points of healing. After 10 minutes, it takes me 10 minutes to cast, so for the next 10 minutes I'm
Okay.
just kind of sat and casting it.
You see sort of Kirik just retreating to himself a little bit. And then this energy begins to seep out from him along the boat. How much healing, sorry? 17 points.
14 points.
14 points.
So
That
9
to
plus
a
5.
select lot, was it?
The 6 creatures that look, or the 5 creatures that look worse,
Yeah.
and myself.
Yeah, so the scratches and the rents in Feltak's armour begin to close up and knit together, and he looks a little bit better. Hedam, the cuts and bruises on him begin to seal up, and only a few remain. He is almost back to full health. Ralland's fine, Charlie's fine. How are you guys
Actually,
looking?
can I make one of those creatures Ander and see if that feeling that I got at the Iron Forge is still there?
Yeah. So as that prayer reaches out towards Ander, you take 7 points of health back. And again, Kirik, you almost have to really, really force this healing energy into Ander. And something takes, but not all of it. So I will then say we've got 3 more. I'm going to say Carstan's going to get some. Dargon, you can take some if you want.
Yeah. Look after everyone else first.
I think that's pretty much it. And then Brallan will take some and he's back to full health. So there you go.
I'll take a bit. Just put me back on the
42
full.
now.
You're on 42.
Yes.
Cool. As you are all taking some time to recover, Geo steps up next to Charlie, drops to her knees and bows her head. I am sorry. I did not know what to do. Please forgive me. And Charlie looks down at her. I need you in the fight, dear. Please do not do that again, or I will be forced to relieve you of your duties on my ship. Geo solemnly nods, turns, and again goes underneath. And it looks, from the way you see in the route that you see her take, it looks as if she's heading straight towards the kitchen, probably to help move it out. Maybe he was already gone back down underneath. And the rest of the crew then just begin.
What's Geo's kind of like disposition? Do they look like scared, or?
She looks a bit solemn. You see her cheeks have flushed slightly, maybe with embarrassment or disappointment in herself. And she just retreats underneath, as I say. The rest of the crew at this point are repairing the ship where it needs repairing and cleaning the ship of any blood, repairing the mangonels and making sure they're fit for purpose again. It takes a number of hours before you are back on your journey, and Charlie sort of steers the ship back around using the sort of the sun position to try and navigate back onto the course. And the rest of the day passes with relative ease, relative calm. You're all still coming down from that adrenaline rush of having fought quite literally one of the biggest creatures of the sea. And Brallan does tell you stories of krakens and how they have toppled empires in the sea, and they are such a feared force. And for the motley crew of the Winter's Tale to have fought and killed one is rare indeed. He takes Bothrid aside, sort of holds him, smiles at him, claps him on the shoulder. The kill is yours. Honor is yours. It is a shame we were unable to collect a tooth or something for you as a trophy. Instead, take this. And from his own neck he pulls out what looks like a very long tooth. This is from when I fought when I was young, but did not kill. However, this is yours now, Bothrid, in honor of your kill. And Bothrid takes it, cradles it, smiles, seems a little bit happier, a little bit more of a bounce to his step as he continues to then go about his duties. And night falls, and you all begin to sort of settle down for your rest in the evening. Does anybody want to do anything before we long rest for the evening?
Yeah,
Kirik has to rejig his spells once again.
After the week of just sort of chilling out and everything, I go, Ander and Kirik, whereabouts are you guys at the moment?
I would say that I'm
nook.
kind of on the I'm kind of on the back of the ship, and I would be trying to cast Sending.
Alright. So I walk over to Ander and go, Ander, can I have a word?
Of course, friend.
And follow me. I wander up to Kirik as well. Kirik, am I intruding anything?
I was just about to try to talk with Grellan to figure out what the situation in Green Flower is since we've left, but no, I'm mostly free.
No, I don't keep you too long.
No, it shouldn't be too long.
And I must apologise for the way I acted back before Green Flower. I hope you can believe me truly when I apologise for my rash actions. I had, I believe, died that morning, and you guys brought me back. There was no way for me to handle the situation, and I'm sorry. So I'm here honestly saying that I'd like to actually know more about you and the sword, and I hope that it can be an ally for us, as Dawnbringer was for me. Of course, if you don't want this, we're here to help, but otherwise, I'd just like to know more.
I just hope you come to trust the sword as much as I do. It has been a great ally to me in battle, and I feel that I wouldn't have won as many battles without it. I feel it will serve us well on our quest.
And that
What
was
does
my
the sword? What does the sword tell you when you talk to it?
It guides me. It gives me advice and gives me sometimes that when I lack the strength or the courage, it gives me the fury to attack and deal the killing blow.
I believe him.
Make an insight check.
That's a really bad roll. 14.
And are you lying? If you're lying, make me a deception check.
19.
far as you are concerned, Kirik, Andrew's telling the truth.
Then I'm glad that you have gained such an ally as I did. I'm sorry that I jumped to conclusions. I'm not going to lie.
I was.
I did get told to be wary of the sword from Tim O'Hale, and I obviously have noticed a change in you, but I did wonder whether it was just Ironforge. And to be fair, why should I take the word of someone I had a conversation with for 10 minutes over someone I've known for months? And so I apologise. You would tell us if you ever...
Dargon, Kirik, make me perception checks with disadvantage, please.
Oh, for fuck's sake, one was a natural 20. Perception 13.
9.
Okay. Karen.
But if you...
Do I know much about Paylor? And all the stuff you were telling Kirik about him being the Lord of Light, the opposite of the Raven Queen and all that stuff, would I know that?
Make me a religion check, please.
I will also say that at some point during the last week I will have told you and what I obviously talked to Kirik about.
12.
You know some of it, not in anywhere near as much detail as Kirik. You probably you've heard of Paylor, and you've heard of the term Dawnfather. That's probably about it. And you know he's a prime deity to some.
Here comes another yarn. So maybe Timiel was weary or cautious because he serves the Lord of Light, and this sword brings death, which I'm sure Kirik can appreciate. The balance between light and dark. Maybe that was the reason for his worry.
And I suppose that Dawnbringer much preferred the undead, and to vanquish them back to where they came from, maybe your sword is almost the opposite.
Dawnbringer is your yang to my sword yin. I'll say it the wrong way around, but the overarching point.
What about that moment that you had last week when you seemed to be willing to cut your hand off? You asked us to help you in this matter. Is that all resolved?
I think that was the effects of Ironforge. I think I was just overwhelmed, but I am myself again.
Well, if you're ever not, and you ever need to talk about it, just let us know.
Is it
And
cheeky
make
to
me a
ask if I
deception
believe him
check.
again?
Make me a deception check, please, Ander.
Alright. 23.
Oh, fuck me.
Well good at lying.
Make your insights checks. If you bid at 23.
Yeah,
But I mean,
plus
I
8.
can't. I've got a plus 0, so yeah, 15. Just can't anyway.
Dargon's just like,
Good
Roll
man,
the
Andy.
twos,
You found a
that's
really good
10.
sword there. I'm really proud of you.
Kirik is also still a bit suspicious, but even Kirik comes to believe you.
Now, when we get back, maybe we need to buy Bothrid another javelin. That thing was bloody useful.
Maybe we can attach it to him with like a strap so he can pull it back.
What, and electrocute himself every time it goes lightning bursts?
It can be made of rubber. If rubber exists in medieval Nyland.
If anyone would know, it would be you, Ender.
Trying to change the subject away from the sword questioning. So let's talk about how cool it was when I abseiled or zip wired down that rope to save Turtle Man. Let's take a moment to appreciate that.
Yeah, alright. That was pretty good.
It was a good move.
There's me go jumping in like a fool and you actually decide to do something clever. Not bad.
Can you actually swim, Dargon?
Badly. But better than Feltag could.
And again, Feltag from his area just...
Well, it'd be more because he's all rusty and creaky from the water, innit? As he puts WD-40 on his knuckles.
Yeah. Oh, I tell you one thing. While it's fresh in our memory, we only have one portion of the prophecy written down, and in our haste to get out of Ironforge, I believe it's only in our memory. So maybe we need to write it down in some way. Although, I am glad it wasn't fully written down when we met the Eladrin, because it meant that we couldn't just hand over the prophecy. So I'm welcome to any suggestions, or if we need to perhaps scribe it in some other means.
I may be able to hold that thought.
Do you have space in your scrolls, Kirik?
Yes, sorry. Simon was just looking if there's a spell that can help that.
I love that.
Well, lucky for me, Matt's going to make me commit if I say it, but being a more musical fellow these days, I committed the words in a melody to make sure I committed them all to memory.
And the one, and the two, and the
I've actually done it as a gangster rap song in the style of Wu-Tang Clan. No, I have definitely not done that. That'll be the whitest thing anyone's ever seen on the internet if I do that.
Well, before we forget, before this old memory fails, if we find a sensible and secure way to keep this rather valuable prophecy hidden from others, I'd be valued to hear it. Otherwise we're going to have to risk it and write it down.
I do know a language that is not spoken by most people, so could maybe take a risk and perhaps risk it that the Ladrin does not know that language. And
what about those door
safe.
ciphers? Would those help us make it harder to understand? It may take our time,
There's a plan.
and maybe that's something we do back at the keep, and we risk it until then. We can sit down, work it out, keep it hidden.
At this point, Dargon, your bag of holding begins to vibrate again. Begins to shake quite violently against your hip.
Hang on a minute, boys. What's going on? I open it up.
And as your hand passes over the top, parchment comes out, and you recognise it as the parchment that you had originally written the first part of the prophecy on. And you all now go take a look in Teams. There is a little gift for you in the files at the end of quest items. What? What?
Nice.
And Dargon, as you pull out the parchment, you see that there is the writing in common of the first prophecy. And there is now extra writing. But in the language that was there prior to you being touched by the seer, so that it would, or prior to the prophecy being touched by the seer, so you could read it. And if you remember rightly, thinking back in your memory, it was the language that Kirik had identified as celestial but been unable to read.
Okay. and it was momentarily altered so that we could then see it.
It was momentarily altered, and then once you'd read it and said it aloud, the paper itself had burned and was gone.
Yeah.
It seemed you have been given the prophecy, although not in common anymore.
Sorry, the first bit is still in common?
First bit's in common. The first 4 lines should be in common.
Yeah.
And the second 4 shouldn't be, although for you guys it probably is, because I've uploaded the Word document and not the other one, so...
Yeah.
Are we back?
We are.
Cool, so the bag of holding vibrates and sort of outshoots the bit of parchment, and as you unfurl it, you now see that first 4 lines in common, and then the second 4 lines, as it is broken into the 4 lines, are written in a language that is unfamiliar to you. You only recognise the brief script of it through the fact that Kirit told you previously it was Celestial. None of you can read Celestial, however.
Well, I mean, that helps, but I kind of hope that the Dark Eladrin can't read Celestial, though I'm not pinning my hopes on that one. However, from standard foes and those who are maybe working for the Eladrin, hopefully this will stop them.
It's at least a measure to take until we find a better way to keep it safe.
Yeah, and maybe the first half also needs a bit of work. You
In all the time I knew him growing up, Celestial didn't appear to be one of his skills, but then again, he did hide quite a lot from me, so
if you
remains to be seen.
if you don't mind, well, I hope there's no prying eyes all the way out here, but maybe I keep it in the bag of holding till we get back. All agreed? Cool. Pop it back in the holding.
Cool. Anything else we're doing before we rest?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to go to the back of the ship and I'm going to reach out, focus, and cast Sending to Grellan. Words, okay. I will send it in Orcish. I'll say, Kirik here. Hope the horses are well. How is the situation in Green Flower? Is Green Flower
Flower is one word.
Cool.
Yeah.
Seemed very bad last time we were there. Please reply. "25 words.
As you cast that out to the ether, you wait. You get no response.
Ain't got 4G out of sea.
Do I get a sense? Just might be pushing it. Do I get a sense that the message was delivered?
You don't know.
I just keep to myself and wait a couple of hours to see if there's any reply.
Okay.
In the meantime,
And as the
I've
rest
gone
of
off
the
back to my nook. In the meantime, I've gone off back to my nook, but I've sent a reply to your dear whisper. But I don't want the groups to obviously know, because it's a dear whisper.
That's okay. I will check.
Secrets and lies.
Okay. So I need Dargon and Kirik to both remove their headsets.
Hey!
And ask your question.
So, noticing my hand has turned black, or is starting to turn black, and I'm assuming it's the hand that's holding the sword, yes?
It is.
I just, in a kind of frenzied voice in my head, what is happening to my hand? What is this? Why do you punish me further?
Actions have consequences. You sought to betray me. This is the price you pay.
So do I still have feeling in my hand?
Yes,
Do I have control
it
of?
itself.
Do I have control?
Still have full control. Maybe a little less feeling than usual,
Okay.
but the skin itself has started to turn black. And you notice it looks like it is slightly more emaciated than usual.
What do I have to do to reverse this?
Feed me.
Okay. I shall grant you your wish.
So be it. If you do not, I will feast on you.
Understood.
Anything else you wish to say to the sword?
No, crestfallen, I will ponder my fate, I think, for a bit.
Cool.
Samau's WhatsApp message came up on my screen and it just said worst silent movie ever, and it just caught me off guard. It was...
I didn't know it was going to show up on screen.
That is all good. So, Anders sits underneath his in his little nook with a sheet over the top, and where you would usually hear music, silence tonight. Bothrid has already curled up and has not cast any sort of druid craft to give himself a bed of flowers or anything like that. Today he's just pulled a sack of grain and is just sleeping against that, and you can see tossing and turning. He's restless. Dargon, before you go to sleep, is there anything else you wish to do? You're on mute.
So I've noticed Bothrid not being, normal, restless.
Okay.
Now,
Do you mean me or Bothrid?
have I noticed Bothrid being...
Oh, have you noticed Bothrid being?
Yeah.
Make me a perception check.
Alright, cool. No. 8.
No, so you've sort of just gone about your business.
I think I go to sleep. Well, go to sleep. I go to my resting place, and put my hand on my chest on the tattoo symbol. Say, Baylor, Dawnfather, I must thank you already for the powers you have bestowed upon me in my quest to do your bidding and to help me on my path. They have already helped me greatly, and I know that I can only get stronger from here. I'm grateful, and I want you to know this. And I hope in time you and your servant can provide me with one more favour, and that is Dawnbringer back in my hand when it is required. And I hope, and also fear, that that time will be closer than I realise. I don't expect a response.
And you don't get any response other than just that warm feeling on the tattoo in your chest. Kirik.
Do I notice Bothrid? And do I, if so, can I understand the nature of his uncomfort? Or discomfort, I should say.
Make me a perception check.
15.
So with a 15, you do notice the fact that he's asleep, but he's just restless. And every now and again you'll see him sort of reach, shake his head, look sad for a minute, and then he'll roll over. And as you observe him a little bit closer, and this happens continually, you get the feeling that perhaps this weapon, this gift, meant more to him than the rest of you realised. And then you go to sleep?
Yeah, I go to sleep. I actually want to sleep. Slightly closer to Ander than I slept last night.
Okay. So Ander is sort of under the main mast at this point, just in between barrels and stuff, underneath a little bit of a cover that he's fashioned. So we'll say you sleep on the other side of the mast, just sort of prop yourself up in between the barrels, again using sacks of grain, just whatever you can for a bit of comfort. And the evening passes, and various watches are taken, and a couple more days pass. And by the afternoon of the third day, if you like, following that first week on at sea, you begin to see land. And Charlie turns to you all and says, "Well, someone's looking after us. That was much quicker than last time. Oh, how I wish that time worked on these seas."
Would you ever turn your back on the sea, Captain Swift?
What are you trying to ask me, Dodo?
this journey we're on, it's our understanding that Nylin has been ripped from where it should be, and that it happened a long time ago, but it's time that it's over. And I fear or see now that our motley crew won't do this by ourselves. And it has been so very nice to work alongside some true artistes in their particular fields. I know that you and your crew are very tied to this ship, and I totally get that. But I hope that you also have a love of the land in which you sail to and from. I hope that as you look into my eyes, you can see the fear and the horror that we've been through previously. And I hope that if we ever needed it, you would be so willing as to help us. I realise it is a tall feat I request and ask of you now. But I hope that you also see that the heart of darkness in my past shows I'm willing to lead people and willing to help them regain their lands correctly. And I'm using my feature as a haunted one.
And she just spends a few moments just sort of looking into your eyes. You have seen true horrors, Dargon. You are not the first. You will not be the last. However, I doubt we would have made either of these journeys if not for you and your friends. It has been some time since we sailed the loch, but perhaps we will meet you. There is a falls near where your Malt Masters keep themselves. It is known only as the Sorrows Falls. We will dock our ship in the loch. We will make our way there. If you have need of us, that is where we shall be. Times are changing. The sea is wilder than it was. We will help where we can. Or, at least, I will help where I can. I cannot ask my crew to follow. I cannot force them to follow. But if they wish, they will be there.
I cannot ask for anything more, and I am truly grateful. I hope that we can all reclaim this land so that you can sail these seas in safety again. I cannot express how grateful I am that you are willing to do this, and I look forward to seeing you again at Sorrow Falls. And I know that I will be glad to fight alongside such amazing people.
You flatter us. Now go on. Let's see meet. Time for you to be on your way. At this point, the ship just makes its way back into, for two of you or three of you, the familiar dock, run-down dock, and you see the battered and broken shipwrecks sort of either side. You see the other ships that were there and remain there of the other captains that you once interviewed in terms of trying to get passage. And you walk down the gangplank as Winter's Tale docks. You turn, and the four of you wave goodbye to Charlie and the crew of the Winter's Tale as you enter the town of Seameat and make your way to the Cherry Tree Inn, where the familiar face of the tavern owner greets you. And she turns. 4 rooms this time, is it?
Aye. Be very gracious. Thank you.
Very well, very well. Been some trouble as late. It's gonna have to be 5 gold for each of you.
We can accommodate.
That should not be a
I'll
problem.
chuck a 25 coin.
What's the trouble that you say?
Strange folk. Bandits.
Have they been troubling
more.
Seameat?
Seameat. When you get word Moonbright's had trouble. Idril. East Vale. Edicus. Pretty much anywhere. Been seeing trouble.
I admit we've had quite the wary trip across the seas, but I wouldn't mind buying you a drink and hearing all about it tomorrow. How about it?
She winks at you slightly and says, I'll be here. If you want to buy I'll fill you a drink.
You can count on it. I, by the way, am looking out for my scimitar, because last time we were in here, someone stole my sword. So,
Everybody make perception checks.
$14.
mother trucker, 7.
6.
We are currently naked.
So, Ander, as you look around, you see the children that sort of run around the place. One of them, as he runs past you, looks up, smiles, a very toothy grin, taps his head, and runs out.
Hey, Ander, didn't you get us past from that that rather dark fella who was here before? We got to worry again. I don't want to have some light fingers around us.
I would like to ask the tavern lady, does your trouble stem from the lighthouse? Or are they outsiders?
I know, as I said, strangers. The lighthouse, the light's been dim. Not lit up for almost a week now.
I may have to pay a visit to that lighthouse in the morning. See what befell of Obeya.
If you don't mind, guys, I'd like to rest up. Sort of stuff in the morning.
Okay.
Absolutely, yes.
So you'll go off to your respective rooms. The tavern owner leads you up the stairs. And that is where we will leave it for tonight.
That's a good one.
That was a good one. Bit of interesting RP. So, thank you all once again. I have been Mad Isbell, your dungeon master for Malt Magic. Once again, from me, massive thank you to Tabletop Audio, Battle Bards, Ben Sounds, for the audio effects and ambience. Thank you to my players once again for being awesome. We're still learning, but to me it feels like we're all just having a great time, and the story itself is flowing really well. Other than that, that is our session for tonight. So thank you very much, and we will see you next time.